Thank you, everybody. My name is Don Wenner. I'm CEO of DLP Capital Advisors. Really excited to be here. I'm going to start off right out of the gates talking about the opportunity. So this is a mortgage pool fund. We offer both equity and debt participation. Short-term, non-owner occupied residential rehab funding is strictly what this fund does. Three things we provide to investors: high yield returns, liquidity, and consistent distributions. So we're maybe the 12th fund, doing mortgage pools, hard money lending. I think a lot of the funds before us made the case already of why to be serious about investing in this space. I want to talk about what we do a little bit differently and why you might want to consider investing with us. Three things. Number one is our track record. Number two is a holistic approach, very unique, pretty exciting holistic approach we take to the business. And third are the resources at our disposal. So a little bit about our history. Right now we're actually raising capital into our fourth fund, third with DLP Capital Advisors. We started in 2007 with what we call SMA relationships, or separately managed accounts. Our first fund was launched by one of my executive team members behind me, Jeff, called the Conquest Fund, which was a debt-only hard money lending fund. We launched our second fund, DLP Equity Fund 1, which purchased distressed residential properties. Both of these funds are still 100% operational, still investing. We're just no longer taking capital into either of these funds. Our third and fourth fund, we are actually raising capital into right now. Our third fund is used primarily for our internal fix and flip investment model. Our fourth fund, which is what we're going to talk about today, is our DLP Lending Fund, which is focused around hard money lending to other investors. Right now we have $40 million in assets under management, including our SMA relationships. We've distributed 2,500 payments out to our investors, 100% on time, and no investor has ever lost any money with us. So I've debated showing the slide here in Seattle. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but we're endorsed by Glenn Beck. We're endorsed by Sean Hannity, a big personality in our local market named Bobby Gunther Walsh. Also by Barbara Corcoran on Shark Tank, Dave Ramsey, some pretty big endorsers who believe in what we're doing. We're also endorsed by Fairway America, so pretty excited about this. They're a minority member in our GP. They're also a seven-figure investor into our fund and also serve as fund administrator. So as Fairway explained just a couple minutes ago, they put us through a lot of due diligence, more than I think any investor has ever put us through individually. Looked at my whole background personally and financials and so forth, and made a decision to partner with us, so we're really excited about that. Some of our service providers, we've chosen some of the best in the industry, largely to Fairway's recommendation. Spiegel, who's here, Wally, who's here as well, and then some of the best talent from our local market, which is Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. A little bit about my history. I've been in real estate for 10 years. I've closed over 3,000 real estate transactions for about $500 million, including I've purchased over 500 properties as the principal in the past 4 years. The Wall Street Journal ranks me as one of the top 15 real estate professionals in America, #1 in all of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York. I am the owner of DLP Capital Advisors, as well as direct lending partner, DLP Realty, and DLP Construction, which we'll touch on those companies in a moment. Currently, I own about 225 properties in my local market, which is the only market in which we lend to. Some of my executive team, Jeff and Diana, are in the back here. They're with me today. They have an extensive background in banking and underwriting. Patrick, who wasn't able to join us today, has got a big background in development, distressed acquisitions. So really talented team here. So we focus here, one of our biggest resources is that we focus on our local market, which is Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, and the surrounding areas. So Lehigh Valley, if you've never heard of it before, Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton. It's the third largest market in Pennsylvania. We're 1 hour from Philadelphia, 1.5 hours from Manhattan. It's about a 75-mile radius in total that we cover. Our local market is a population of 700,000. The market we lend to is a little over 5 million. So we cover as north as the Poconos, if you ever heard of that before, out as far as Manhattan, but we do not lend to Manhattan or go into New York, out to the state capital, Harrisburg, and then down into Philadelphia, but we do not go into the city of Philadelphia. We focus on the suburb markets. So one of our biggest resources at our disposal, where everything started for me, is DLP Realty. It's the #1 real estate brokerage in our local market. It's the #1 real estate team in all of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. It's been ranked by Inc. 5000 as one of the fastest growing companies in the country for 2 consecutive years, which less than 2% of companies ever make the list twice. We did it 2 years in a row, and we'll likely be on the list for a 3rd time this year, as well as some of our affiliated companies will be as well. And we have sold this year about 750 homes in our market. There's only 4,500 sales in our immediate market, so we, in a lot of ways, make our market. We create the market, and we truly know the market values better than anybody because we're selling 1 in 5 of the homes. So it gives us a pretty unique advantage to make the right insight where we're not just trusting the appraisers who's, with all their intentions are often wrong in what they think the property is going to be worth at the end of the renovation. So it gives us a pretty unique insight. That, as you see on the screen, that's a lot of my team at DLP Realty. In total, between our entities that we're going to talk about, we have 130 full-time W-2 employees who are involved in our investing strategy in one way or another. Another big aspect and resource we have at our disposal is our construction and renovation management. According to Home Depot sales data, we are the #1 construction company in our region. Out of 21 Home Depot stores in our region, we're the biggest construction company. We've done over $10 million in construction in the past 1 year. 95% of that construction is in the distressed residential rehab market, so the exact space that we're lending in. We have some of the most talented people working with us. Guy used to run Toll Brothers, if you ever heard of that before. He's one of our vice presidents. The most successful local home builders, one of our vice presidents. Really good team of in-house contractors. Give us the ability to handle situations as they arise. We also have one of the biggest property management companies, which can be very important to a borrower if they need to get the property occupied to cover their debt servicing. We have a 99.2% occupancy rate, only a 1% uncollected rent, so we run a pretty efficient property management company. And maybe our most important resource is our underwriting arm of our company, which is called Direct Lending Partner. We keep that separate from the fund. Our senior lending officers have over 60 years experience in lending and underwriting. We've done over 500 short-term rehab loans, so we had a lot of experience in this space and a lot of experience in underwriting borrowers. We focus on lending to bankable borrowers, but typically the property is not bankable. So typically we're lending to investors with 700 credit scores, with good income, assets in the bank. We focus really hard on having the borrower put up 20% of the total costs out of their pocket. So to give you an idea, here's our average size deal. Total costs are $189,000 for the purchase, the renovation, the closing costs, which include our points. We loan $156,000. The borrower comes up with $33,500 at closing on a property worth $240,000 upon completion. So they have significant skin in the game. On average, we're lending about 64% of the after repair value. In a lending fund, we really focus on growing this fund. We realize there's two big risks in a lending fund. Number one, of course, is what happens if a borrower goes into default. It's always the biggest concern in any lending operation. And that's one of the biggest values we have in this holistic approach of having all these affiliated relationships is that we don't lend in any area that we don't invest in directly. Right now, I buy about 16 properties every single month. Almost all of them are full, complete renovations in the exact same areas we lend in. So if we have to step in to either help assist the borrower or take over a situation and finish a construction project, we're okay with that. If we take over and purchase the property through a deed in lieu or something of that nature, purchase the note at face value from the fund, a lot of different situations or options available, we're able and willing to do so. Our normal business practice, we've never had to do it yet, but our normal business practice is for us to step in and take any potential losses that could arise from a project going south or going to default onto our plate and avoid and minimize and eliminate any risk from the fund. The other big what if, and maybe probably the more common one to happen, is issues with contractors. When you're dealing with residential contractors, they're tough. It's tough to find good contractors. It's tough to get them. You pay them too fast, you have problems. You pay them too late, you have problems. So when they run into construction issues, we have the ability to educate and consult, provide resources, and step in and complete the renovation. Our loan exit options, we have essentially 4 of them. Number one is to sell the property. Often these are fix and flips. The goal is to sell the property at the end. The other option is to help them refinance with a local bank. We work with 12 to 14 of the biggest local banks in our market. We know what the bank's appetites are, and we can help get them to the bank who can refinance them out. Third, it's pretty unique, is that we have partnered with a securitized fund that we can refinance our loans upon renovation completion. Typically, the loans are pre-approved when we close on the deal. So we automatically have them pre-approved to refinance between 7.5% and 9.5% fixed for 3 to 5 years. So it gives us an exit strategy, cuts the borrower's debt servicing about in half because we charge 14.9%. And then lastly, of course, is a workout solution if the loan goes south. We feel that all this knowledge, resources that we've put together brings us to where we are today, brings us to the DLP Lending Fund. We have the market knowledge, the relationships, the real estate strength, construction, property management, banking relationships to really run this fund efficient. We have two fund types. We have our options. We have equity and debt. Our equity is a 1-year commitment, quarterly distributions, 14 to 17% returns, 8% preferred. We pay out 70% over 8, and we only charge a 1% management fee. On the debt side, it's 1 to 7 year time frames, investor's choice, and we pay out 5 to 9% fixed with a max of 30% LTV. Lastly, see us at our booth. We're going to have stacks of cash sitting at our booth, so please stop by. They're first come, first serve. Thanks, everybody.